And we're back. Again, very short break. Very fast with our vetoes, our players were, and we're jumping into Whispers of Gold for game 1. Let's go. Jumping into Whispers of Gold. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And if you're in the chat, predictions now open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series. Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat with those predictions. Again, SHIN has been looking a little bit more in form, at least when it comes to the standard map pool and the current patch. But now that we're getting into the PTR, I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of factors coming into play here when it comes to the new balance patch and also the new maps as well. So I do think that this is going to be harder to call. There are basically other factors at play, factors that we're not too familiar with when it comes to the patch and when it comes to the maps. So best of luck. Best of luck with your gambling, with your predictions. Here we go. Oh, shout out to Toppin in the chat. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Toppin. Let's go. Did they buff the Broodling too? The Broodling does last longer, from my recollection. I think it's 10 seconds longer or something like that. Hold on, I'll double check. How many seconds was it? Let's see. Oh wait, no, sorry, not 10 seconds. That'd be crazy. 10 HP. That's it. I knew it was 10 something. The Broodlings, they have 10 extra HP, which didn't really come into play in that game. Just because it was never really a threatening force. Like once the Broodlords arrive, they just snowball out of control. So it's a 10 HP increase, not 10 seconds. Like 10 seconds is a long time. So my apologies on that one. But HP. As we are settling in, it's going to be a rack to expand into factory. So far, standard setup here out of ByuN. Likewise, SHIN going hatch, gas, pool as well. So far, so good. Likewise, actually, ByuN going for a 1-1-1. Okay, much more assertive, much more aggressive build here by the Terran player. Going for the starport before the CC, so very aggressive. From here, ByuN, he can go into something like a Hellbat-oriented push. He can go into faster Banshees for Banshee Hellion into Hellbat. He can go into potentially BC production with a fusion core behind this as well. We'll see exactly what direction ByuN takes us in. Meanwhile, SHIN throwing down a very early Roach Warren. Oh my god! Roach Warren has been placed. I mean, Whispers of Gold, I do think is a good map for a Roach All-In. We were talking about this earlier, but the rush distance by ground is quite short, especially if you knock down these rocks. If the rocks get knocked down, I mean, even without knocking them down, but if they do get brought down, that the rush distance by ground towards the natural waste of your opponent does get reduced quite significantly. And the Roaches are going to be on the way. Meanwhile, ByuN, no Reaper. That's why ByuN, he skipped the SCV scout. No SCV scout, no Reaper scout either. ByuN is playing completely in the dark, and that is why SHIN is embracing the Roaches. That's going to be 7 Roaches on the way, and ByuN has no idea. As he's moving out, there's the armory. We mentioned before with this 1-1-1 that a Hellbat push is very, very much so viable, and there it is. So it's going to be Banshee Hellbat for ByuN, but he's running into Roaches. I do have to favor SHIN here. Do have to favor SHIN as Marines, they get dropped in towards the main. Queens are in position. These are vanilla Marines, bear that in mind. They do go for the first Queen. One Queen goes down, massive pickoff. Queen does fall, and SHIN, the Roaches are not at home to defend. He's moving out across the map. He's pushing instead. Drones under fire. Roach is revealed. The medevac does fall. SHIN has to pull away. And back at home, what is it to defend? Nothing. There's nothing back at home. Hellions, they do get into the mineral. Oh my god! The Hellions, they get past. 15 drones go down. SHIN is going to lose everything, and eventually the Banshee will clean up these roaches. The roaches that were stuck in the depots. ByuN, he can pull this off. Roaches are denied entry into the main. They get, what, 1 SCV. They need to get into the main base. As 19 workers go down, SHIN, his economy is crippled. And he's all in. SHIN, he's completely all in. And he's not breaking through. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah, he's down to 4 roaches. The Banshee going ham. Gets another roach. 3 roaches left. 2. And ByuN holds. ByuN holds. ByuN has a massive worker lead. He has mules. 3rd CC's on the way. And SHIN, he's in a brutal position. He's in a brutal position at this point. Like, I was favoring him initially, but that was before the Hellions bypassed the roaches. If the Hellions were at home to defend, then I would have favored SHIN. But the Hellions were out on the map. They got how many drone kills? 22. 22 drones going down. And SHIN was already committed at this point. I mean, there's no lair. There's no lair. There's minimal queens, as queens were going down to the drop. And SHIN is hurting. SHIN is hurting desperately here. ByuN moving out. There are spores in position. There's a spore in each mineral line. But the Banshees, they can always camp the area in between the bases. Or even just pick away at the fringe drones. Yeah, they catch the transferring workers. 1, 2, 3 drone kills. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. 4th drone kill. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no. 7, 8 drones go down. 9 worker kills even. And he's not done. Nowhere close. It's 10. And a queen. And even though ByuN wasn't able to embrace his Hellbats, I mean, it's perfectly fine. Did more than enough with the Hellions. And where does SHIN go from here? I would imagine it has to be an all-in. I would imagine like a 3-base, 6-6 drone all-in here with Roaches and Ravagers. That would make the most sense. SHIN, I don't think he can macro out of this. I don't think he can go for a longer game state. And we'll see if SHIN can make that work and recover. Now, what I will say is that this third that ByuN has taken is very exposed. You can attack from the left, from the north, even from the south as well. It is a very vulnerable expansion. So that Roach all-in can pop off. It can get damage done if ByuN is too greedy. If ByuN is too greedy, if he throws down, you know, more expansions, but you can see that ByuN's being active. He's not resting on his laurels. Is moving out. And SHIN needs time. Now you can see SHIN, he's getting up to 3-base saturation, 64 drones. Double Evo chamber for double upgrades, but ByuN has arrived, and SHIN is not ready for this. He's not ready, man. He's being caught with his the pants are down. Gas guys are full, hatcheries under fire. And from here, ByuN is snowballing out of control. He does get a kill on the expansion. Does get a kill, does threaten, I mean, the roaches. SHIN trying to expand elsewhere. And ByuN backs off. I appreciate this. He just backs off. He doesn't overextend. Pulls back home just in case. And from here, ByuN just has to play it safe. Just has to play it safe. Secure his 3rd. Get a 4th. 4 CCs on the way. And SHIN just has to hope that ByuN overextends. No, there we go. it's not gonna happen. GG gets called. There's no final fights, and ByuN will take game number 1. Oof. GG. ByuN does take the first game here. Again, if SHIN was initially more defensive with his initial roaches, if he was staying back at home waiting for the Hellion move out, then he would have been fine. But as he moves out, Hellions, they bypass the roaches. We had Marines in the main, Hellions at the natural, and SHIN, he was bleeding out SCVs, sorry, bleeding out drones so quickly, and his own roach push just didn't achieve much. Did not achieve much in the end. The Roaches, they got like, what was it, 5, 6 SCVs? 6 SCVs and nothing else. And with that, ByuN has a lead. ByuN takes the lead, and now we're loading into game 2. Going to be loading into Ley Lines. Oh boy. Use a supply from the sky. I mean, that's not really necessary. Again, I think we spoke about this at the time, but it feels mainly applicable to something like a Ling Flood, less so Roaches. But we haven't seen it yet. True. Hopefully we will eventually. As we are getting into our second game of the series, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Ley Lines, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player down in the series. We'll see if we can bounce back. For Gaiman Gladiators, it is SHIN. There we go. Going to be spawning into Ley Lines. Ley Lines a little bit more akin to something like Ultra Love, where here on Ley Lines, now this is where we get some choke points, some rams, some narrow choke points as well. A much more defendable map in the map pool. This is where I would favor ByuN if he does go for a more macro defensive setup, and where I would not really favor an aggressing player. So I don't really see SHIN going for an early Roach Warren, even if he does scout, you know, a lack of Reaper. There's no Reaper scout or SCV scout, but we'll see. We shall see. As the Overlord does push across the map. There are, of course, these center base locations with high yield gas geysers. 2 of them, actually. But again, because of the terrain, because of the cliff faces and the ramps, I do see a lot of late game potential here, and a lot of turtle play being favored on Ley Lines. If we can get there. If we can get there. As for now, getting into our queens, joining up. Likewise, ByuN, once again, ByuN, he skips the SCV scout and he skips the Reaper scout as well. So no SCV scout, no Reaper, going Marine into Reactor instead. Very greedy play out of ByuN. But after what happened in the last game, I feel like SHIN, he's going to be deterred from throwing down a Roach Warren. Not this time. I wasn't opposed to it in the last game, in game 1. But on this map, I'm less inclined to really embrace something like that. As once again, ByuN going for the same build, going Racks into Factory into a Starport before CC. This should lead into early Banshee production. We saw last game that ByuN, he attempted to go into a Hellbat push, which he never was really able to embrace, but he didn't need to. Like, he won the game with his first Marine aggression and with his first wave of Hellions. It was insane. Insane what ByuN got done. He's doing it again. This time, SHIN is taking a different approach. This time, no Roach Warren. Once again, there's that early medevac. We'll keep an eye out for an armory. But for now, it's going to be a Marine drop and a Hellion aggression. And we'll see if SHIN can keep up. Speed is on the way. Here comes that drop. Marines towards the main, Hellions towards the natural. And ByuN does not throw down an armory this time. But he is going into a Liberator. What's important here, this time, no Banshees. No Banshee production. Just Marine drop into Lib. Marines, they, instead of going into the main base, they do go for the front lines. Ling speed does kick in, and the Lings, they shut down these Marines. This time a much cleaner defense by SHIN because they didn't rush into Roaches. Hellions, they hit the third. Yeah, 1 drone. Oh! 1 drone goes down, but the last one of the Hellions is going to fall. Just barely. Just the one Hellion. SHIN pulls away, scouts the main, and confirms the follow-up. Now, overall, I do want to favor SHIN here. A reason why ByuN has such a worker deficit is, remember, delayed third. This third base is very late for ByuN because of the early marine drop. And the marine drop didn't really do much. Now, the aggression isn't over. Remember, he's going into a follow-up Liberator harass as well. Liberator's moving out. We still have some Hellions. We still have some Marines. But overall, this opener was lackluster. This very similar opener last game basically won the game for ByuN in game 1. Here in game 2, more than anything, it kind of sets him behind. So SHIN, he doesn't make the same mistakes. Does learn from the first game. Did lose one drone, but just the one. Queens are keeping up. The Liberator does nothing. Force back. And SHIN holds. SHIN holds, getting to his Bailey nest, double Evo chamber, double upgrades. SHIN is looking a lot more comfortable and a lot more in control. And the pressure's on ByuN. The pressure's on the Terran. Is taking a third, is working towards his bio, of course. Stim, +1. Building up Marine tank. ByuN needs more. He's moving out with what little he has. Stim is about to finish up. Gets a couple of tumors. Jesus, this setup is giving me like Eternal Empire vibes. Well, as SHIN gets us around, a bit of a late pickup here from ByuN. Alas, he has to leave some units behind. Not enough room in the medevac. But I'm referring to this cliff face over the expansion. Or the high yield expansion as well. As SHIN, he shuts down the drop, he pulls back, getting another base, spreading his creep. So far, so good. ByuN, he keeps up with the Ling harass. Cleans up some of the tumors. Bailing's getting caught out. SHIN in a bit of trouble here. Just waiting for Bailing speed. 10 more seconds. Queens are coming forward. SHIN splitting up his army. And he's getting ready for the surround. Does SHIN have enough? He should. It is just the one tank. And ByuN backs off. He just backs up, gets out, pulls away. He does recognize how little he has. SHIN finding the drop. Will collapse in. No major engagement. Instead of ByuN committing up any of these ramps, he's just denying creep. We spoke about it earlier, but these areas are so defendable. There are just so many ramps, so many choke points. Up! Even ByuN having a hard time coming in. Ooh, big bailing connections. Bailings, they do connect. And GG gets called as ByuN does not gain any ground, and SHIN will tab the series 1-1. GG. Yeah, ByuN just unable to apply enough pressure, doesn't get any damage. On top of that, remember, ByuN, he was very committed. ByuN, he did go for a delayed CC at the start of the game, was hyper committed, and he did not do enough damage. SHIN, he was getting up to 80 workers, and he was soon to max out. So ByuN, he saw the writing on the wall. You could definitely argue that ByuN could have played it out to have a fight, but there was a lot working against him. A lot working against ByuN there. GG. GG, well played. And I would imagine that as we load into game 3, that ByuN will stop going 1-1-1. I think he's going to stop going for a delayed expansion. We'll see, though. Because it does put a lot of pressure on the Terran to get damaged. And if they don't, they just fall behind. Do fall behind. Here we go. We're getting into that ace match. And we're getting into Ultra Love. Oh my god. Okay. Similarly to the previous map, a very defendable map as well. A lot of choke points. To the extreme. But a very aesthetically pleasing map. And here we go. We're loading in and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ultra Love. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify. It is ByuN. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. There we go. SHIN going 15-15, going for a very safe opener, going gasless. Makes sense on this map. Does make a lot of sense. As we are settling in. And again, I can't imagine ByuN is going to go 1-1-1 on Ultra Love. No shot. No shot. We'll see. So what I'm referring to, with the opener that SHIN is going for, it means that he will most likely delay link speed. As he's going for 15 hatch into... Oh. Never mind. 15 hatch initially, that is true. He will get the hatchery a little bit sooner. But he's going for a gas follow-up instead. Very interesting. Going for the gas geyser into a spawning pool. With this, he can still rush into link speed. I'm curious how this all comes together. As he does prioritize his gas income. ByuN opening up himself. CC first. Jesus. Speaking of being greedy, CC first out of ByuN. Ay, ay, ay. We see this on maps like, oh god, Radisson Station. There we go. We see this on maps like Radisson Station. We see this on maps like Alkiona as well. These larger macro maps are where you can get away with this. ByuN determines that Ultra Love is also one of those maps as well. So, very greedy. Very greedy play here by ByuN, as the Overlord will confirm that the CC is almost finished already. ByuN skips the Reaper, going Marine first. So again, ByuN's cutting corners. Cutting a lot of corners this game. So CC first, no SCV Scout, no Reaper Scout, no nothing for ByuN. Even so Marine first into the Reactor. Reactor's on the way. Now the next question becomes, does he go for a starport before CC? I mean, I guess it would make sense to be safe after a greedy start, but I'm not too fond of that idea. SHIN going for his third. Hatchery's on the way. ByuN is building up. He's going for the... Oh, never mind. He's going for the starport. Okay. Starport before command center. Very similar build 3 games in a row. Was still CC first, that is true. And oh my god, SHIN is link flooding. 16 links on the way. That's a lot of links. Links are moving out, so link speed being researched. You can see SHIN, he pulls out of gas. Meanwhile, ByuN is potentially setting up for an add-on swap. That is a tech lab on the racks. Starport's on the way into an add-on swap into Banshee play. And here come the links. Here come the links for SHIN. Does skirt around the edge of the map. ByuN, his Hellions are amassing. The Overlord not quite in position, but I'm sure SHIN is hoping for a move out. Oh, he just commits. Oh my god. He commits in. And does he get a surround? ByuN does react in time, pulls away, shuts down the Lings. Lings getting roasted. A couple of SCVs are falling. He gets 2 SCV kills so far. Just 2. And this is a better trade for ByuN. A 3rd SCV falls. But for how many Lings? For 12. 12 Lings go down. Now, that is a bit of a give and take. On the one hand, SHIN, that wasn't quite worth it, throwing away 12 Lings for 3 SCVs. But on the other hand, ByuN has yet to expand. There is still no 3rd CC. And this is actually the same build as Game 1. It's 1-1-1 Banshee into Hellbats. The Armory is on the way. It's going to be a very committed Hellbat push from ByuN. Very committed. And he's hoping that maybe SHIN cuts corners. What does SHIN have? No Roach Warren. There's no Roach Warren. There's no Bailey Nest either. SHIN, he's droning up. He's saturating his 3rd, throwing down Spore Crawlers. Only droning up. SHIN is he being too greedy? Now, if the queen count is high enough, SHIN, he should still be able to defend and hold on. Despite the low queen count, but how many queens do we have? 7, soon to be 8. 8 queens, only lings. He's saturating his third, making more drones. I don't know if I'm convinced here. Here come the Hellbats. Here comes the push. ByuN, he's waddling in. Queens, they do spot this, have to pull away. Lings are in production. Oh, the first queen goes down. Oh, massive hiccup. High energy queen as well. No transfuse. Another queen getting caught out. Ooh, 2 queens fall. At the same time, Banshee does come in to reinforce. But it looks like ByuN does not really have enough to reinforce here. I would have assumed he would have moved out with some Marines, but no, the Marines were left back at home. Does get 6 drones. Banshee in the main. Hellbats, they push towards the third. But SHIN should hold. SHIN, he's going to be okay. He defends his third. He deflects the Hellbats. And remember, ByuN, this is his third. Like, his third is so late. And because of that, he doesn't do enough. Meanwhile, Lings, they bust into the natural. Oh my god. They only get the 1 Marine. Just the 1. Okay, SHIN, he backs off. But SHIN, he's up 20 drones. He's on 3 bases. 4th is now on the way. ByuN needed more damage. Like, this, with this Hellbat push, with this build specifically, I feel like ByuN was pretty all in. But he didn't commit. He didn't reinforce with extra Marines. Didn't hit with stim or anything like that. And ByuN, he needs more damage. And she does back up. CC just now finishing at soon to be the 7-minute mark. As ByuN is building up his army, building up his Marines, his tanks. Alas, SHIN has been able, or should be able to overwhelm economically at least, and build up a larger army. ByuN is pushing out. He is spotted. SHIN, he's amassing Ling Bane. That's 9 Banelings on the way. The Queens are amassing as well. And with the arrival of these Banelings, SHIN, he should be able to hold on. And he's setting up with the tank. Decent position. Lings, they're coming in from behind. SHIN, he doesn't yet commit. SHIN actually going for a counterattack instead. But the wall is solid. And he does reinforce. SHIN pulling away, taking a backup expansion. Looks like SHIN, he is more than willing to just accept this base going down. But he may not have to. Another Ling run by. Yeah, okay, never mind. He does give up on the base. The base will fall. SHIN going for a counterattack with his plenty of Marines back at home. ByuN defends. This is like basically a 2-base all-in. Like, ByuN, he finished the third. No orbital. No orbital. He's just rallying everything across the map. How many racks is 5? Yeah, just 2-base all-in. Straight up. It's all or nothing here for ByuN. Reinforcements have arrived. ByuN trading very well. SHIN collapses in with the Banelings. Does get some okay connections. But so many Banelings go down. Marines, they stand their ground. They force back the Queens. And I'm not so sure SHIN has enough. It's going to be close. Banelings, they do get some connections. Banelings crash in. 1 tank goes down. Lings, they come in from behind. They get both tanks. There's 1 tank left. Automas! 1 tank remains. And ByuN keeps pushing. Takes down the Queens. Gets us up with the Hydras. Ling reinforces, forcing friendly fire. And ByuN is so close. He's so close to breaking SHIN. So close yet so far. The longer this goes on, the better it is for SHIN. Massing up more Lings. ByuN finally expands, gets his third. No orbital. But he does keep reinforcing. And SHIN doesn't really have many Lings to work with. I mean, he also have his queen, so he's been missing injects. Injects have been missed. More lings are amassing. Likewise, the creep is barely connecting any bases. There's like 2 active tumors. ByuN's still in the driver's seat. He can still pull this off. His own third finally getting saturated. Ling Rambai moves out. We'll run into reinforcements. ByuN, he's ready for this. Lings, they don't get much done. Oof. And SHIN's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble here. Okay, cannot hold on to this base. Not like this. ByuN gets into the middle line. Baileys, they do not connect. Again, SHIN, he just wasn't expecting a 2-base all-in. I mean, now turned into a 3-base all-in. As the hatchery is going to fall for the 2nd time. 4th base goes down. Baileys, they bust into the mineral line. We get some decent connections. 8 SCVs fall, but that was still a better engage for ByuN. He just has to keep rotating. Just keep rotating. Keep denying the 4th base over and over again. And ByuN has a supply lead. It's a massive army supply lead. Ling Rambai, I mean, ByuN, he scouts, he spots it. We'll shut it down. And this did go to the ace match, but ByuN, he was just so aggressive this entire series. Just so committed on 2 bases. Baileys, no big connections. The tanks, they pop off. There's almost nothing left, only Hydras. And ByuN has done it. He's broken the back of SHIN. He pushes in towards the 4th, or towards the 3rd even. Gets into the middle line, takes down the final Hydra. GG gets called, and ByuN will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. ByuN, he will take it. He will get his revenge. It was a very intense series, but very unorthodox as well. We don't often see ByuN go for 2-base all-ins. Like, he was so aggressive this game, and even this entire series. It was very much so in the face of SHIN. SHIN just wasn't really expecting ByuN to be this committed and to be this aggressive. SHIN, if you remember, he just kept going for Ling Rambais that achieved nothing. There was always just so many Marines, just so much army pinned back at home. The 3rd base was heavily delayed. SHIN, he was looking for the 3rd, looking for mineral lines. He never got them. Last needed to focus on, the main army at hand, and GG. GG, well played. ByuN will take it. And do we have the finals ready for us? Oh, not quite. Not quite here, as the upper semifinals is still underway. Clem versus Estrella is still mid-series. Let's have a look at the brackets. Where exactly are we?